2023 was an incredible year for gaming. It's a line echoed throughout gaming media during the latter half of 2023. And I tried my best to expand my gaming repertoire and catch up on many incredible games and series I missed the boat on over the years. I ended up playing to completion, mostly completion. Skyrim's is a little bit of a big game. Around 25 to 30 games this year, and had a blast with most of them. During my, Destiny era of video games, back whenever, Destiny 1 was a big thing, and, Destiny 2 for a little bit, I really just fell off from playing other video games. In between that, between Destiny, college, just general life, my gaming catalog had really grown incredibly small over, about a 8 to 10 year period. And I was more of a spectator than an actual gamer for many years whenever it came to playing a lot of these incredible games. I'd become very coarse towards the gaming industry. Just a lot of things came out, and I was very just sour on it because of, loot box era, just unfinished games and products, and everything just seemed like it was on the decline there for a while. But I have to say, I could not have picked a better year to come out of my gaming hibernation. Before we get started, I do want to drop a spoiler warning now. I'll do my best to avoid them, but some of these games I don't think I can talk about without covering some spoilery sections. So if that's something that really bothers you, maybe check out now. But I'll do my best to avoid them, so you should be pretty safe. But just in case, I'm covering it now for that. If you're one of these people, which I don't know why you're watching this video, if that's something that's going to bother you, because, I feel like a best of 2023 games list. I know some people are very talented and they can cover games without spoilering them. I don't think I'm one of those people, but I guess we'll find out. You guys can let me know once this is all said and done. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Starting off, I want to go over my 3 honorable mentions in this list, which are going to be Mario RPG, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and Spider-Man 2. All 3 of these games were very good games, but ultimately they missed the cutoff of my best games of the year. Mario RPG is a great example of a developer taking how we thought games looked as kids and then truthfully making it look like that. Mario RPG is filled with quick combat, no difficulty spikes from what I encountered, and whimsical fun characters that'll really make you smile. The game does fall into an issue where you really start outpacing your enemies, and quickly combat becomes more of a chore than an engaging sequence, but overall it was a really fun, quick game that is filled with funny, memorable moments. Star Wars Jedi Survivor didn't make the list because it was so bogged down with bugs on release. Whenever I started playing this game, I would clip through objects. The pop-in on PS5 was insane, and I encountered an issue where I just couldn't charge my blaster in the blaster tutorial section, and I got stuck in the tutorial after resetting my console multiple times, so I just stopped playing the game. Eventually it got patched and I finished it. I enjoyed it, but I'm tired of hearing and seeing about all these incomplete games at launch. It's like, yeah, that's great that you got it there eventually, but you had my money from the get-go and I didn't have a game on the get-go. So where's the compromise there, So I'm really tired. I'm tired of it. No more incomplete games that get fixed eventually and then we praise them for that. We got to stop doing that. I'm tired of it. Let's get past that. Let's move on. Finally, my last honorable mention, I know it's controversial, but Spider-Man 2 was just really tough to leave off the list because it is a very fun, it's a very polished game, unlike Star Wars Jedi Survivor, this game was actually very playable, very good on release. My issue with Spider-Man 2 is it felt like I was playing a game that I had just played before. There are definitely some really cool set pieces and fights that they added to this game, but ultimately, I was just playing Spider-Man 1 again, is what it felt like, an extension of it. And that game, whenever I played Spider-Man 1, made me feel like I was playing the Arkham series again. And it's a really fun formula that I really enjoy, but I've just experienced it multiple times now between all the Arkham games, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and now this game. It just feels like they really haven't expanded much on that fighting formula, that general open-world patrolling, things like that. It's a very good game that I highly recommend everyone playing, but maybe wait for it to go on sale before picking it up. Again, very good game, great game. I just don't think they're doing enough to advance the formula of the game for me to really, overly praise it. Okay, now it's time for the big boys that we got this year. Cocoon is an amazing indie game my wife and I were able to take turns playing together. We're both big fans of puzzle games because they're very relaxing and less strenuous than many of the other games on this list. Cocoon takes place across different world spheres that you can carry around on your back and use to complete puzzles. Each orb has different properties that can be taken in and out of other world orbs. The concept is very intriguing and really prods your mind on how to complete these puzzles. There are some really fun boss fights, which are not like Dark Souls level or anything insane like that, but they keep gameplay engaging and provide some pace to keep the game moving. If you guys got $20 for Christmas, I definitely recommend picking up Cocoon. Alright, I've never actually played a Pikmin game before this year. For Christmas, my wife and I purchased Pikmin 4 to play because it looked cute and simple, which is something she would really enjoy. And we like those kinds of games because if it ever does get really hard for her, she can just give it to me, I beat whatever part is hard, and then she goes back and plays her little, fun little game.
You made me sound like an idiot.
And I didn't play it for the first couple days, and then it was just sitting there while she was at her family's house, and I picked it up, and suddenly 11 hours later, I had 100% of the first two worlds without even realizing it. This game sucks you in so easily with its gameplay once you get past the tutorial. This game's tutorial takes like 100 years to get through, and the loading and the chattering from all the NPCs definitely activates the rage in my goopy goblin brain. But once the game finally lets go of the reins and you can go free into each level, the game is now in your hands to figure out how to tackle a section of a level in the limited time that you have. If you encounter an enemy and you don't know how to beat it, you can try 100 different strategies and reset each attempt to get your Pikmin back and just try again and just figure out whatever works for you or what works for that enemies, what items you need to buy to attack it, different things like that. For me, the highlight of this game is actually like the time attack Dandori challenges. I love replaying each of those little levels and trying to maximize my Pikmin usage to make sure that I get the Platinum Award or whatever medal it is by collecting everything on the map in the allotted time. That is definitely the highlight of the game for me. Earlier, I mentioned Mario RPG in my honorable mentions. What I didn't mention is that I really don't like RPGs. Most RPGs to me are a huge grindy time sink with little payoff because the characters and story are so overly serious or even shallow. If you guys have ever watched Nakey Jakey, he talks sometimes about what he calls the goopy goblin brain, where you dislike playing a game that doesn't really have constant gameplay or excitement. And for me, most RPGs fall into this category. I don't want to grind enemies, I don't want to wait my turn for combat, I don't want to talk to someone for half an hour at a game just to advance my stories and characters like 2% of the story. It just becomes overly repetitive and just nonsense to me. My brain turns off and I don't enjoy the game. Undertale shattered my expectations and really fired the synapses in my goopy goblin brain. I realize this game is not from 2023, and I'm cheating, but I played it for the first time in 2023, and actually somehow avoided all spoilers for this game other than Flowey and Sans. Everything else was a fresh experience for me and a refreshing take on the RPG genre. My wife and I did a pacifist playthrough, other than a Vegetoid that was eaten, RIP, he deserved it. And I greatly enjoyed the combat system, which was probably my favorite in any RPG that I've played because it puts everything into the hands of the player. Not just whether you attack and kill an enemy, but whether you spare them, how much you talk to them, what you do, how you dodge. Everything is put into the hands of the player. It's up to you to decide what this world is going to look like and what outcome you're going to get at the ending of the game. Also, the soundtrack is just perfect. My favorite games of all time have always drawn me in with their songs and music, and Undertale really encroached and set up base into that territory. Everybody has played Mario. Probably. Your grandmother has played Mario. But if your grandmother played Mario Wonder, she'd be wondering if she was back in the 60s and 70s. Personally, other than the Mario Maker games, I had not played a 2D Mario since New Super Mario on the DS, but I really feel like between then and now, I didn't really miss anything with all those New Super Mario games on like the Wii and Wii U. If I did, let me know. Meanwhile, Mario Wonder is full of unique level designs, ideas, and creativity that just feels like it only scratched the surface of what the game could have done. Every level, I was wondering how every Wonder Seed I encountered could have a new idea. I was expecting these things to be in like 1 in every 10 levels or something, you know, not super common, but they were in every level and every idea felt fresh. The addition of the badge system is very interesting to me. Most of them you probably wouldn't use normally, but some are really helpful, especially for newer platformers. I know my wife got a lot of use out of the exclamation point yellow block one. That was very helpful for her. But then at the end of the game, it gives you this insane secret final level that utilizes all of the badges with very few checkpoints, and it's a great challenge, and I highly encourage everyone try it on like the single player offline mode without any standees. It's a great challenge, and it's a really fun level, and it shows that, you know, Mario does know how to crank up the difficulty here and there. I don't actually need to say anything about
Resident Evil 4.
you can suplex a zombie, you can roundhouse kick a zombie. There's a shooting range with this really good song, and the gameplay just feels crisp. And I really hope we get an RE1 remake in the RE engine at some point, because I really want to fight a snake in a library that looks as good as this game. The choice here between my number 1 and number 2 game of the year was very tough for me and completely unexpected. In May, whenever Tears of the Kingdom released, it was my clear choice for game of the year, and I never expected another game to show up and take its place. Tears of the Kingdom feels like a perfection of the formula Breath of the Wild created. There was so much freedom in how you approach each situation. The shrines this time felt like they were designed to help less creative people like me approach the crafting system and help prod your imagination and come up with creative solutions to problems. The enemy variety has increased significantly, and somehow they made the base world of Hyrule feel incredibly new and different, while also adding the Sky Islands, which are full of little weird puzzles like the anti-gravity mechanic, and then the entire underground. Also, the Ganon boss fight this time was much improved over the Calamity Ganon fight. What ultimately held this game back for me in retrospect is the lack of creativity in various parts of the game. The underground is really interesting, but much of it just felt so empty. And the sky and overworld puzzles have basically the same copy and paste, move green rock to shrine challenge multiple times, which just feels dull when you realize the only shrines that you have left are those, and you do several of them in a row. I don't know if that happened to anybody else, but it was like I got to the end of the game and it was like my last, I don't know, 15 shrines were all move green rock to pedestal, and it got boring really quickly. The storytelling really falls short again to me as well. I was not expecting a Naughty Dog level of characterization and story, but I feel like I have zero connection with the champions this time around, and most of their powers are pretty worthless compared to the first game. Each time you acquire a champion, the exact cutscene plays with little to no variation. The gameplay is incredible, and it's the clear focal point of the game, which is why it's ranked so highly, but the story shortcomings really kept this from me putting it at 1. My wife has asked me multiple times, did you ever expect to like Alan Wake as much as you do? And every time the answer is no. I see people in comment sections or threads that have never even heard of the game and wonder how so many people can enjoy it. To these people, I just say, you gotta play it, and Alan Wake 2 is like if Stephen King wrote Inception after playing Resident Evil for a week straight. Sam Lake and Remedy Entertainment put their heart and soul into this game, and it really shows. The story is captivating, and the player can choose to switch between the two stories being told. There's Alan Wake, and Saga Anderson at their own discretion, which I really think adds to the replayability and experience. Each time you play this game, you'll pick up on different bits and pieces you missed. The game realizes it is probably confusing for most players, so for Saga, they add this really nifty storyboard that can help the player keep track of what has happened, and Saga's story is much more structured and straightforward since it takes place in the real world. Meanwhile, Alan's is much more confusing and sporadic. It's harder to figure out where you are and where you're going. There are these fake shadow guys designed to scare you into using your batteries, which makes it harder to fight the actual enemies. Alan's story also features what I believe is the most creative sequence in any video game I have ever played. I really need you all to experience it without spoilers so you can be as confused and blown away as I was. Both worlds are just filled with little puzzles and secrets reminiscent of Resident Evil that help you with extra ammo, storage space, and items that boost your stats and weapons. If you're a fan of the Resident Evil series, you'll find the gameplay very similar. If you enjoy survival horror games, you'll really just feel that sense of anxiety. This game does a great job of building up this anxiety, then bringing it back down and letting you breathe, and then building it back up again. This game's ability to kind of roller coaster you through these emotions that the characters are also feeling is just incredible. If you're a fan of playing really good games that are filled to the brim with quality, I highly encourage you to pick up Alan Wake 2. Well, that's the end of my top 10, but you guys let me know what you think. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Thank you for your support over the last year. I'm going to try to do more just gaming videos in general this year, so let me know if you like these. Let me know if this is something that you want me to do more of. Let me know what your top games of the year were, and I'll catch you guys next time.